Finals are set. We previewed the East. If you want to know how the West was won, hitch your wagon to either the bright star of the Warriors or the equally bright star of the Rockets. Both teams with stellar resumes coming into the finals. League-leading Rockets, winners of 65 games, facing the defending champion Warriors. Nick, I'll start with you. What do you think? Rockets have a chance to knock off the Golden State Warriors?
Sure. Of course they have a chance, but I also think they're better. I mean, maybe we'll look back on this and I'll say, what was I thinking? You got 2 MVPs, you got 4 Hall of Famers, you got a team that was in third gear, if not second gear, most of the season. But I can't get over this one number, 50-5. 50-5. That is what the Rockets were this year with Harden, CP3, and Capella.
Wow.
That's an amazing number. When their big three played,
so.
No, well, I
did
didn't.
Nice.
Right, like that. I mean, that means something. It's not a
Yes.
small sample size.
Yeah.
That is not. There's no. Oh, it was against weak competition.
No, and you've been talking about that number for over 2 months.
Because for real, because it was 39-3. It
Yes.
was it was jarring to me because when the Rockets, they only lost 17 times. But for 12 of those losses, or actually, pardon me, 14 of those losses, because the 50-5 includes the playoffs, to have come when one of those guys wasn't in the lineup, you just saw how dominant they were with their core. And the Rockets have something that the only team the Warriors have faced at this round of the playoffs ever had going for them, and that was the team that damn near beat them, Oklahoma City. They're fully healthy. The Warriors are used to, in the playoffs, getting what they got this playoffs again. Some injury luck. No Kawhi. No Boogie. They faced the Rockets in the past when they didn't have their point guard. They faced you guys when you guys didn't have Nurkic, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they've had a lot of good injury luck. That is not applying
The
here.
Rockets got some of that luck in the semifinals.
Absolutely
with
right.
Utah.
And what the Warriors also have never had to deal with in this entire run in any series until this one. So this ain't starting at Oracle. This isn't starting at home. And so for all those reasons, yes, I think the Rockets can beat them. I'll pick the Rockets to beat them in 7.
What do you think, CJ?
Wait. you think they're going to, not only do you think they're going to win, you think they're better.
Yeah, I do. I think that go ahead. Tell me.
No, I mean, I definitely think the Rockets can win. Obviously, look at the roster they put together, bringing in P.J. Tucker. I think that's going to be a big help for them because he can potentially match up with Draymond when they go small with that Hampton 5 lineup. And then you also have Mbamute, who's a really good defender. Although KD's going to get his buckets, he's going to score. He can guard him better than a chair. As they say, most of the series he's been shooting over chairs because the guys are too short. So with that being said, I still think the Warriors are probably going to win. I think they have the advantage in experience, having played together. This is a lot of Rockets players' first time in the Western Conference Finals. Obviously, CP will rise to the occasion as he showed last game, carrying the shoulder of the load, 10 assists, no turnovers, 40 points, career high, 20 in the fourth quarter. But I think that 4 All-Stars, KD is ultimately the difference. If they can slow him down a little bit, they have a chance to win.
I think Houston has a better chance than any other team because more so than I don't agree with you on the Boston series as far as Boston has bodies to throw at LeBron. I think they got people, but I don't like their body type.
I thought they had more bodies than Toronto did, is my point.
More than Toronto.
Yes, go ahead.
I mean, but KD, I believe that Houston, Bellamute, I believe their bodies, P.J. Tucker, and their rotation of guys that they can throw at KD presents the biggest problem that KD will have had in this year's playoff and last year's playoff. The Cavs didn't have anything that they can do with them. We know that. So I like Houston's chances. I think also Golden State, we always talk about, man, they're one of the best defensive teams. They're going to have to play the best defense they've ever played in a series because what Houston presents to you with the high pick and roll, if they try to play small, with Capella and Harden in that high pick and roll, I believe that gives them a problem, and they have so many shooters. Typically, they're used to defending 1 or 2 great shooters, but they got 4 or 5 guys that are just knockdown cold shooters, and I believe that gives Golden State more problems than we've seen them have in the playoffs.
I think one of the issues Houston's going to have with the Warriors is the fact that Draymond can guard everybody on the court. So in the last series, you had Rudy at the 5, right? So CP and James are taking turns, running pick and rolls with him, getting the switch, going to work. CP likes to shoot that step back corner 3. But with Draymond, he's sitting down. They're going to switch, and James is going to have to, between cross and get to the cup and make plays. But it's not going to be as easy as it was to get to the lane and to, obviously play one-on-one with Draymond potentially switching.
Yeah, see, I hope they play Draymond. I hope they play that small lineup because I believe that Houston should stick with Capella because he can guard Draymond. It's not like you got to worry about him.
Right.
Like, Draymond, how many shots he going to hit? He's not going to blow past him. So I believe it plays in Houston's favor where they can play big, force Golden State to play small. I believe that's a huge advantage for the Houston Rockets.
Skill-wise, it seems like you're all saying this could go 7 games, and they match up. If both teams are healthy and both teams are playing,
I think CJ's more confident in
the
that
Warriors.
The Warriors can finish it up.
But my question to you is that because of that one thing you brought up, which is experience, which is normally not that tangible thing that we like to talk about, but you said, hey, they've got the experience. How much does that really factor in here when you're talking about the conference finals, a team that's won 65 games? Are they really at a disadvantage with that?
I don't necessarily think they're in a disadvantage because these are elite players. James is an elite player, probably going to win MVP this season. CP is an elite player who understands the game and how to manipulate certain situations. But with that being said, the Warriors have play calls for days out of timeouts. They know what to run down the stretch. They know how to get advantages in terms of running a pick and roll with Steph and KD, which is very hard to guard because once you get a smaller guy on KD, it's curtains down the stretch. So with that being said, I just think that with the execution standpoint and the way the Warriors score is completely different than the Rockets. There's movement without the ball. There's cutting, playing off the split post. So it's not just guarding somebody one-on-one, which you can't do in this league. It's understanding that there's going to be movement, and Steph and them can play one-on-one, shoot threes off the dribble, and that changes the entire dynamic because they have to work on both sides of the ball.
Question for you. Does Houston and what they're going to have to do and the different looks, and no one plays basketball like Golden State offensively, do you think that affects Houston and their ability to play what we see? Nick, you said their offense is the most efficient that we've seen?
Well, yeah, they were. At the tail end of the year, it tailed off. But at one point, they had the highest scoring offense per 100 possessions in the history of the NBA. It ended up being about 5th. But this Golden State team ended up being about 9th.
Right. Do you think them playing defense affects that?
I think they can play defense. The only thing you fear with this series, obviously stretching out, there's a lot of days to rest in between, is the fact that, James and CP are going to have to score 25 to 30, each night.
Yes.
Or get contributions from Trev, from, as you said before, Clint Capella, who reportedly the Phoenix Suns offered a max, so cha-ching. But I think it's going to be interesting to see, can they still score 25 to 30 while chasing those guys around? Or does Houston Rockets use mix and match? So you allow James to kind of rest on defense.
Well, that's where, by the way, I mentioned Klay Thompson potentially being the X factor in this series. Right. I think Steph's going to get his. I think KD's going to get his. I would, if they are going to play that Hamptons 5,
right,
I would ask Harden to guard Iggy as much as possible so he can rest somewhat on defense. I think Harden's strong enough to deal with Iggy. He's got a slight height disadvantage, but they don't want Iggy.
And Iggy's not posting up a lot.
Iggy's not there. But there is a template, however, that we've seen, and I think that some of the tape the Cavs need to be watching is the 2016 finals, not only because that's the only series this Warriors team's ever lost, but what they did in determining every time Steph is on the court, if we can, we are going to run action to get him defending the ball.
You're talking about Houston, watch Cleveland.
Yes, if I didn't say it right, I apologize. Houston, watch what Cleveland did. Because LeBron, it almost looked like he had a vendetta. Like, it wasn't that. It was the right basketball play. But we are going to get Steph switched onto the ball handler, coming off, by the way, similarly as in 2016, a sprained MCL where he maybe isn't moving laterally as well as he would like, and we are going to make him defend. We are going to exhaust him, and we are going to make, you know this, you and Steph are about the same size. Do I have that right?
I'm probably a little taller, probably weigh a little bit more.
Oh, right. But so he's not drastically, obviously. But he's not drastically. People think Steph's this tiny guy.
No, he's not.
Steph's 6'3", you know what I mean? He's a little bit smaller than you. It's exhausting when you have to go through screens all game, right? Like the physical toll it puts on you. That's something that I think Houston has to do. I think they have to hunt out Steph on defense.
Yeah, and they've done that all season. They take advantage of matchups. They pick out who they want strategically, and that's why I don't think there's a disadvantage in the experience because CP studies the game. He understands that, for them to be successful in this series, they have to exploit certain matchups, whether that be when JaVale McGee's in the game, putting him in pick and rolls, understanding that James is able to draw fouls, so get the switch. And if you can get Steph, if you can get KD or Klay in foul trouble, then they're out of the game. Yes. You don't have to worry about them.
All right, CJ, keep hanging out with us. Coming up, should we still trust the process? Next on First Things First.
Oh, yeah, they're going to pick.